Money. We are born to a society brainwashed into believing that the more money we make, the better our lives will be. Oh, sure, money may buy you lots of pretty things, but it will never buy you contentment. Hey folks, when I posted my video titled Simple Living, One Man's Perspective, I wasn't intending on making a series out of this, but after all the comments and questions I've gotten, I can see that elaborating on the subject, sharing more of my insights, will be beneficial to some of my viewers. Not all of them, but most of them. Are you always hearing me talk about living simple and cheap? Because this video has the word money in the title, you're probably thinking that I'm going to tell you money is the root of all evil and it's no good and start preaching fire and brimstone. I can assure you, I love money as much as anyone. When I go out and set up my booth at a show, I leave on Sunday with a wad of 20s that thick. I'm like, yeah! Steak and seafood tonight. Like I said, I love money as much as anyone. Always have. Probably always will. The difference between myself and just about everyone I've ever met is I put life first. I was a little boy. I knew I wanted to grow up, live in a cabin in the woods. I knew how I wanted to spend my days. Then I adjust my earnings to sustain that kind of lifestyle, where most people put dollar signs first. That's what we're always taught. Get a good job, make a lot of money, and that's the road to happiness. So when you put dollar signs first and you look at how much you need to make, then people adjust their whole lifestyle to make those earnings. I will elaborate more on that in a minute, but right now I've got to go walk Frankie. Well, since Frankie and I are in the woods all the time, I wanted to get him a safety vest that he could wear during hunting season. And I was looking online, and all I could find were cheap pieces of crap, and the good vests were $39.99, and I thought that was a bit ridiculous. So I went over to Walmart, and I found in the craft section a little kid's blaze orange t-shirt for $3, and I got the mission accomplished. I saved 37 bucks. And Frankie is just adorable in it.
Go get your t-shirt. Go get your t-shirt. Go get your t-shirt.
Time to play dress up. Now you see, buying a t-shirt instead of the dog vest saved me 37 bucks, and I'm getting all this entertainment in the process. It's all about the fun when you're a border collie. Well, that was fun. A little more fun for some than others. Frankie likes to wear that t-shirt, and he's just adorable in it. The dog cracks me up. So back to what I was talking about. Part one of this series was subtitled One Man's Perspective, and that is all that this is. I don't tell anyone how to live. I don't tell you what's right or wrong. I'm just sharing my opinions from my own life experiences, and nothing more than that. And I'm making this series as a response to the thousands of people that comment on my videos and tell me that I am living their dream. So this video series is focused on the folks that share my heart's desires and want to live simply, a cabin in the woods or a little farmstead, and they want to be self-sufficient, that sort of thing. Not everyone viewing this will be able to comprehend what I'm talking about. If your life's ambition is to make as much money as possible and you find enjoyment living in a high-rise in Manhattan, you won't be able to comprehend what I'm saying. We speak a different language entirely, and that's fine. That's what makes the world go round. The problem is, people are so quick to judge others without obtaining the facts about that person. They might see something or hear something one time and form an opinion. I had comments on part 1 of this series where people judge me now. They see me at 53 and all that I have accumulated, my homestead, my cabins, my toys, my tractor, things like that, and think somewhere along the line I made a whole bunch of money and I bought all of this stuff and then I went off and lived simple and cheap. And it was the other way around. I accumulated all of this stuff because I have lived simple and cheap for over 3 decades. It wasn't the other way around. Not at any one point in time throughout my life have I ever made a lot of money. In part 1, I speak about when I was an artist, and I say I had it going on, and I sold a lot of art, and I did. But the word artist and making a lot of money don't often fit in the same sentence unless the word don't or doesn't is crammed between them. I sold a lot of art, yes. My cost of living was high. I had a Main Street gallery, so on and so forth. It was money in, money out. I was living the dream, but I was not making a fortune in doing so. The difference between myself and a lot of folks is I put all of my focus on my dream. I lived the other life. I started out working full-time, Monday through Friday, trying to support myself and as a teen with my car and my apartment and all of the expenses associated with the normal lifestyle. It wasn't working for me. I was struggling. Like everyone else, life is a struggle. But I wanted to struggle doing something I wanted to do, not struggle going in the opposite way. Because the more I dug myself in going in that direction, the further and further I was getting from my dream. So my journey began in my teens. And again, I accumulated everything that I have now. I just want to say real quick that, you know, I started out in a cabin in the woods. I had the opportunity to buy a piece of land when I was just turning 18. I could not afford it because I was living the other lifestyle, paying bills and everything like everyone else. But I knew nobody was going to give me a piece of land, so I took out a mortgage on that piece of property, and I was late on those payments a lot. There was quite a few times on the way up to my property where I'd stop at the little local sawmill and I'd buy 8 or 10 boards and go to my cabin and nail them up. And my friends used to joke about it, go, hey, how many boards did you nail up this weekend, you know? But over time, those 8 or 10 boards at a time accumulated into a cabin. And then I ended up moving in there at 21, which I've already talked about in my other videos. So I have lived in cabins in the woods my entire adult life. I have lived simple and cheap, very frugally. There's only 2 things in the world that I can justifiably spend interest on, and that's a vehicle and property. Everything else, if I don't have the money, that means I can't afford it, and I don't buy it until I can afford it. That is the rule of thumb. And credit cards and credit and being able to buy all kinds of stuff you can't afford is what sinks everybody. There's like no discipline. So I stayed focused towards my dream. I wanted to live simple and cheap, and I have, and that's how I acquired everything that I have. It wasn't the other way around. And I hear it quite often in my videos. People go, you must make a lot of money. Somewhere along the line you made a lot of money, and that's false. Never have I made a lot of money. I accumulated it. Everything in life is accumulative. Man, there's nothing like wood heat to soothe the soul, you know? It's just another thing I like about this type of lifestyle. it sustains itself. Get all the firewood I need right here from the acreage. I don't have to pay for heat. I wouldn't have that luxury living in a city block. A lot of places won't even let you burn wood. A lot of places won't even let you have a clothesline. There's a lot of restriction. And we all know the wages are higher in the city. The cost of living is higher in the city as opposed to rural areas. If I would have lived my life and not chased my dream, but chased the wages, with the mentality that so many other people have of thinking money first, chances are I'd be in the city or around the city, and I would need to live within commuting distance of my job. That would mean I would dig myself in, probably on a house on a city block, and that's where I would stay. Let's just take, for example, if I were to buy a $150,000 house on a 30-year term with 3.5% interest, beginning of that mortgage, my payments would probably be about $850 a month. About $700 would go to interest, about $150 would go to the principal. After 5 years, I would have blown $40,000 just on interest alone. If I carried it to term the full 30 years, that would have put me 30 years away from my dream. And in 30 years, I would have spent about $160,000 on interest. That $150,000 house would now have cost me over $300,000 to have. That's justifiable if it would be my dream home, and that is how I truly wanted to live. But that type of mentality is not what this video is about. Again, this video is focused on the folks that are always telling me I'm living their dream and they want to live out in the country. So that is the mentality that I'm talking to. That's just an awful long way around a dream, a very costly one. To put the money first, that scenario happens over and over and over with people. But if you put your dream first, rural property, cheaper. Just recently I sold close to 50 acres of really nice land for $40,000. But in the city, $40,000, you're not going to get anything, chances are. So anyway, myself, I'm going to focus dream first, because when I go to meet my maker, I want to sit down with him and I want to thank him for the talents he gave me, show him what I did with all of those talents, and talk about all the dreams I fulfilled, rather than sit next to him and just tell him about all of the money I spent. What can I say?